Welcome back to Tice Travel Time. Today I will be sharing my top 5 tips for going to Athens, Greece. The first tip is to make sure that you get good gripped shoes. I had read about this before going to Athens, and I didn't really think I needed to bring shoes that had a super strong grip, but my sneakers that I brought really don't have much of a grip. And I almost slipped on the marble at least 5 times. This is not a joke. So make sure that when you're packing for Greece, you actually bring shoes that have a strong grip, because it's not worth falling and slipping when you're in Greece and you want to just enjoy your time there. So make sure that you bring shoes with a good grip. That is tip number 1. Tip number 2 is to make sure that you watch your valuables. I think that this is often said that when you are touring a city, you have to be aware of pickpocketers and you need to be aware of getting your things stolen. Generally, you should be watching your things. Surprisingly enough though, a lot of people just left their things. My aunt and I were walking through the Athens garden and we saw this backpack with camera gear and all this stuff, and we looked around and we couldn't find who owned it. And then we kept on walking about 3 or 4 minutes later, and there was a couple taking pictures. Now I get that. It's obviously beautiful and you need to take beautiful pictures while you're there. But while you're taking those pictures, make sure that you still know where your valuables are and that you have them on your person. This also happened when we were at the Acropolis. There were girls just sitting on the edge looking at the views, and it is stunning. It is so beautiful. Their cameras were just sitting right there. They would have been so easily snatched up, and it is not worth a trip being ruined because of your things getting stolen. Make sure that you're actually aware of where they're being placed and that you know where they are, because that is something that is just not worth the extra hassle while you're on your trip. Another little tourist tip is that I was advised not to wear a baseball cap or a basic fanny pack. I'm not sure exactly if this really matters. There were a lot of people wearing baseball caps and fanny packs. It might not matter, but I also feel like it's my responsibility to make sure that I tell you that those are definitely something to maybe not bring with you if you don't want to be so obviously labeled as a tourist. Definitely something to think about while you're packing. Tip number 3 is about water. It's really important that you are aware of whether or not you can be drinking the tap water. If you are in Athens, Greece, that is a city, and they have healthy tap water, you can totally drink the tap water with no problems. If you do end up traveling to an island, the tap water is generally less recommended. What I really liked though was that majority of the restaurants always gave you free water right when you sat, and that is so amazing. But it's definitely still important to be aware of water when you're traveling. My 4th tip is regarding restaurants and restaurant service. One of the very first places I went to was beautiful. I went there more for the aesthetic. I wasn't totally eating anything. I was solo at the time, and I just went to get like a latte and relax and read a little bit. It did end up being a 3-hour adventure. I normally don't have super leisurely, long, calm meals, and I love having a long meal while I'm on vacation. I think that's really important. But it was very interesting because the way they serve in Greece is super leisurely. Right after I ordered, they gave me a little metal cup with my receipt right inside. And I didn't know if that meant that I had to pay right away or if I had to wait. It wasn't totally communicated with me. So I ended up waiting for a while. I think I waited 45 minutes just to get my latte. It was just a drink. After that, about an hour later, I was pretty much ready to leave, and I could see the people around me were also kind of wondering like how to leave. I had gone up to the cash register and had asked to pay, and they told me to sit back down and wait for my waitress. And I ended up having to wait another hour or so for the waitress to actually have me pay. Definitely keep that in mind if you plan for tickets to the Acropolis or you have tickets to any event. Make sure that you know that your meals might be pretty lengthy and that it's important to be aware of that. Credit cards are widely accepted, but most places also totally accept cash. If you know you're in a rush, something you can do is you can put your cash in your receipt cup if they give you that, and then you can leave whenever you're finished and you don't have to worry about that. Now, a lot of places also will give you a complimentary dessert or drink at the end of the meal, and they're super just excited to be with you and loving you. It's really nice. Some places want you to stay as long as possible. Keep that in mind that you might be relaxing there for a while, and it's nice to actually just be a part of the culture and enjoy your meal. Definitely make sure that you note that, and with paying, just being aware you can use cash and you can use card, but cash is going to probably allow you to get out a little quicker and allow you to actually leave when you're ready to leave, and you don't necessarily have to have all 3-hour meals. Now, regarding tipping is not necessarily expected, but nowadays the tip etiquette is a little expected with tourists. It's recommended to leave between 5 and 10%. It's important to think that if you paid $50 for your meal, a 10% tip is about $5. So you can either leave $5 or you can even just leave a €2 coin. It's not too big of a deal, but it's important to just be aware of tipping. If you really loved your service and you loved your meal and you had a great time, definitely leave a 10% tip. The next thing is the Acropolis. Now, I know most people go to Athens, Greece to go to the Acropolis, and I will say it is very impressive, but this place was so beyond crowded that I honestly just didn't totally enjoy it. I felt like there were just people everywhere, and I just love traveling, but I cannot stand being just in a herd of people. I really don't like it, and it makes me kind of appreciate the experience a little less. I can't just stand and observe and look. Keep in mind that the Acropolis gets pretty busy. I was there at the beginning of April, which is not totally during the busy season, and it was packed. It's also important to note that there are a lot of other cool sites that are there. I really liked the Agora of Athena. I thought that was really cool, and the Roman Agora. Those sites were a little less crowded, and I could just enjoy them. Like, I felt like I could just sit down under a tree and be like, dang, this is where democracy was made. Like, it's so cool. And I felt like I could really immerse myself more in where I was versus at the Acropolis when it was so busy and it was just a lot of people. It's a little different. So those are my main 5 tips. But in case you're wondering about any other little fun tips, I have 3 little fun things to tell you about. One is to be on the lookout for tortoises. When I first saw a tortoise, I was like, it's a turtle! And I was alone. And this other American was like, it's actually a tortoise. He told me about how tortoises are the ones that live on dry land and turtles are the ones that live in water. They are pretty popular, and I actually saw them most of the times when I was hiking or honestly at the sites. Definitely be aware, it's really fun to see them, and I just loved seeing the tortoises. I saw, I think, at least 4 or 5, and every time I got really excited. That's another thing to keep your eyes out for. Another thing is getting a taxi. My aunt and I had walked to get Thai food pretty far because it's less popular there, and we were just really craving Thai food. And when we were done, it was like a 40-minute walk back, and we did not want to walk back, so we were trying to catch a taxi. She's from New York City, and she's caught a lot of cabs in her life, so we were thinking it was going to be easy. We went up on the street, we had our hands up, we were ready to catch a taxi, and no one ever stopped. Like, no one. I think we waited maybe 10, 15, 20 minutes, and no one was stopping. And we ended up walking up to this little bar, and we were like, how do we get a taxi? There are so many taxis passing by, but no one stopping. And the woman kind of spoke English, and on her phone, she ended up calling us like an Uber taxi. They don't have Uber, but it's like Uber. So they ended up just doing that, and you can call taxis on an app. So if you're gonna be there for a long time and you know you want a taxi, that is probably the best option. Another thing is a lot of people are passing through Athens, Greece. You're maybe not gonna be there for 4 or 5 days, which I totally get, and you want to stay overnight somewhere else. Within Athens and a lot of other European cities, they have luggage storage lockers. So you can actually leave your things at a luggage storage locker, and those are super easy to do. So if you're planning to leave your luggage in Athens, Greece, that is definitely something to make sure that you note, and I will put some in the caption below for you to check out. I hope these tips were helpful for you and that you benefit from these. Athens, Greece, and Greece as a whole is incredible. I swear to you, it was one of my favorite places. The people are so kind. They're so inviting. They're genuinely really happy to just converse with you. English was widely spoken. It was really easy to get around. If you're planning to go to Athens, Greece, have an incredible time. It is an amazing place, and I'm so excited for your adventure. Thank you so much for watching Tice Travel Time, and if you liked this video, be sure to like and subscribe and comment below.